Welcome to the nonStatic podcast, where we explore how to keep moving forward when motivation feels distant. Here we dive into finding peace and fulfillment in a busy world, discovering how to embrace life's opportunities to live with purpose and joy. I'm John. This is Dr. Josh.
Howdy.
We are nonStatic.
Yep.
And how are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
In the middle of the Christmas season. Hopefully you got all your Christmas gifts done.
I'm mostly done.
Yeah.
I'm mostly done. I got a few left to get. Actually, not really.
Are you a big gift giver? Like, some people thrive off giving gifts, and others, like, it's not that important. I mean, not that you don't like giving gifts, but some people, they get energy from giving gifts. Like, their love language, so to speak, is gifts. Or where'd you say you fall?
I find I love, obviously I like getting gifts. I like giving gifts. I'm not really passionate about it. I think, when my girls, when we had my first daughter, Ava, I was just showering her with all kinds of toys and all kinds of stuff, spoil her rotten. And spoil her rotten I did. Did the same thing with my second daughter, Sophia. And so since then, I've learned my lesson, and we have severely pulled back on the number of gifts that we give to our kids.
Oh, I feel sorry for your kids now.
Well, I mean, you
give them one toy and that's it.
They have a sense of entitlement.
Oh, okay.
They really do. I mean,
you could buy them a set of blocks and wrap each block separately.
You know what? Gifts. I could have done that. I spent a couple of years ago. I spent a ton of time making a Christmas gift for my daughters. And it was blocks. It was wood blocks.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep. I remember Mr. Rogers when I was a kid.
He
had some blocks, and they looked like such nice blocks. And they weren't painted or anything. They just blocks. Build anything with them. And I had blocks growing up as a kid. I thought, you know what? I'm going to just be the super dad and make them my own blocks.
Yeah. Yep.
They opened it up and on Christmas morning, I was so excited for it. I was going to even build a wood box for it, just to make it all in one. But that, if you know anything about woodworking, one of the hardest things you can do is making a box. If you can make a box,
we have to get it perfectly square.
You have to get it perfectly square.
Yeah.
And it is extremely difficult. I tried doing it with a dove, like a dovetail type of a connector thing. I couldn't get it. But anyways. So I just put it in a Tupperware container, in a storage container, and I was still excited about it because it was really good blocks. And they opened it up and they moved on to the next thing immediately. They didn't play with it for like 2 years.
Oh,
until really just earlier this month, our foreign exchange student that we're hosting, she found the set of blocks, and she pulled them out, and she's like, "Hey, let's play with these blocks, kids." And oh my gosh, they're like, these blocks are so much fun.
Your adolescent foreign exchange student wanted to play with blocks?
Well, she was playing with the kids.
Oh, she was playing with
the kids. Yeah.
Okay.
She got tired of playing chess with my oldest daughter Ava.
I would get tired of playing chess too.
She's getting really good at it.
Is she?
She's getting really good at it. For early on, she was always really frustrated because she always lost, and I'm kind of the guy who's like, I'll give her a couple of things, a couple of moves, a couple of big wins to kind of hook her in, but I remind her, I said, Ava, you will lose a lot when you're learning to play chess. It's all part of learning. I always tell her that failing is important. You have to fail in order to be good at something. She has a tendency she has a hesitation to do sports because, I'm not good at basketball. Well, yeah, you've never picked up a basketball in your life. Well, I'm not good at volleyball. Well, I mean, she's too little for volleyball, but you know what I mean? She doesn't like to try new things because she's not good at them. And so I'm trying to teach her, no, you don't want to be good at something when you first start. You want something that's going to challenge you.
Yeah, you just got to put them into it.
Yeah, and so she's gotten, I helped her get through that hard time with her frustration with chess, and now she's just challenging everyone to a game of chess. So
she's going to be a chess master, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see.
Time will tell.
But back to the gift thing. I love giving gifts. I'm not like a huge. It's a lot of time and effort and work to find the right gift for people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I kind of put it off until later. And then it gets to be really close to Christmas time. Like, oh, shoot. I got to do some stuff. There was one year, it had to have been, it was before we had kids. I got all of my Christmas shopping done. I think it was like August or September.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened. I just happened to be like, you know what, dang it, I'm not going to have
I'm
not going to have any stress with Christmas, with gift buying. And so throughout the year, whenever I saw a good deal on Amazon or something, I would just get it for someone, and then I would just have it there.
Wow.
And it was the best Christmas ever. And ask me if I've done it again.
You probably haven't done it again.
I haven't done it again.
You haven't done it again.
No. But I like getting gifts. And I like giving gifts. But
Yeah.
it's not like a huge, in many cases, it's kind of more stressful than anything because I want to make sure I get someone the right gift.
Yeah.
What's the thought that counts?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I love everything about gifts. So, me going out to buy gifts at the last minute doesn't stress me out at all.
Yeah. You like wrapping gifts, too.
I love wrapping gifts.
Freak.
Like one of my favorite things to do over the holiday season is to wrap gifts. I'll
sipping some eggnog.
Go into a bedroom, close the door, throw on a football. It always has to be on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So I can watch football, and I'll just wrap away. And people think I'm weird, but I enjoy it.
What about the wrapping? What about the wrapping that you enjoy?
It's more about the process of giving somebody a gift.
Yeah,
that's what it's about for me. And like I say, I love gift giving and whatnot. Again, it's not all about getting stuff, but it's just one of the things I thoroughly enjoy. I hate receiving gifts.
I'm the same. I was just saying the same way too.
It puts me on the spot. I don't really like it. But
I'm kind of the same way too. I like getting gifts, but I don't at the same time because it's like I don't know if it's like the attention thing. I don't want the attention on me. I mean, it's not even that.
Right.
I'd much rather give, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Giving is fun. Yeah. It's a muscle we should all exercise, not just at Christmas though.
Should give every day.
Generosity. Yeah.
Generosity is
and it doesn't always have to be things, obviously.
And there's a reason why it feels so good to give.
Because
we're supposed to do it.
It's moving the focus off yourself and onto somebody else.
Yeah.
We tend to be really individualistic, which isn't a bad thing, but when we do focus on our own selves, our own goal achievement and whatnot all the time, we can become too self-centered, and so it's important to exercise that muscle of giving to others.
Right.
Because that's where you really find satisfaction in life, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Being selfish there's no satisfaction in that at all.
Yeah.
Do you have any? We're kind of getting close to the new year.
Yeah.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions or things that you're just going to be like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to tell the world about it and back myself into a corner and make sure I make it happen?
So I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I find it kind of corny, to be honest with you, that everybody decides that. Well, because the calendar has changed and we're going around the sun again, but we're renewing that
all things are new.
Yeah. I just find it interesting that we use that as a resolution, and it kind of goes along with newness, and so restarting and all that stuff, and that's why goals come to people's mind. I try to work on goals throughout the year.
Yeah.
I'm not always successful, but I do try. But
I always intentionally don't set any New Year's resolution. But if I do set a resolution around this time, I always start before the first. I always start before.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do start a new diet, or if you're going to start a new workout routine.
Right.
I never start on the first or right after the first because I feel like I'm procrastinating then.
It's exactly what you're doing, yeah. And there's no better time than now to start on something you want to achieve.
Right.
Certainly you don't want to just flippantly make goals. You want to be intentional about them because they ought to be realistic, but they also have to be interesting to you. But if we're always waiting for the perfect time to start something, such as January 1st of 2025, you are procrastinating. And thinking about it is not as good as doing it, obviously. And there's no better time than now. We talk about exercise a fair amount, but one of the most popular goals is I'm going to exercise and get in shape, which is great. I encourage everyone to do that. But as human beings, we always try to rationalize, well, we can do it some other day. We'll do it some other time.
Right.
but there's no better time than now.
Right.
You know, like your body doesn't know, like intrinsically it doesn't know that today is Sunday and we don't exercise until Monday. You know what I mean? Your body just knows I'm exercising today or not. And so that's kind of the mindset I try to take with any of my goals is just because something's labeled Sunday and not Monday doesn't mean you can't start it.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And you know,
and I say that as a motivation for myself. I'm an excellent procrastinator, and I can kick the can down the road. And I'm actually one that doesn't get too stressed out about kicking the can down the road, which is a problem. So I have to kind of think about it in that way. That you're delaying your own success if you keep kicking it down the road.
So, why do you not have an issue with? Why don't you have an issue with kicking the can down the road? Doesn't that make you feel uncomfortable?
It's just the way I am.
Man.
I can. It's one of my weaknesses, and that is I can compartmentalize things very well. For whatever reason, I just can, and I think a lot of people are good at that. You know, it's the people that are in credit card debt, for example, and they get the credit card bill in the mail, and they just don't open it because. For some individuals, that causes the anxiety to be calmer for whatever reason. But just not visually seeing something or not interacting with something, it doesn't create as high of anxiety. And so not all people are like that, but I think a lot of people get into trouble that way because the avoidance piece for a lot of people, it calms the anxiety and doesn't make the anxiety as big because they're not seeing the details of what they're facing.
Right.
You know.
So when you start a new goal, like around this time of year, we're going to be seeing a ton of social media posts and tons of people declaring this is the year where everything changes. You watch me, I guarantee you, I'm going to lose all that weight. Yeah. I'm going to be in the gym 8 days a week.
Or I'm going to reach my financial goals, or my educational goals, my relationship goals.
And they tell it to everybody. I mean, and that's I think it doesn't that is that a good thing? Because you're kind of backing yourself into a corner. Like, hey, I've told everybody now it's my turn to perform. I got to do this. Yeah.
So let's take a step back a little bit, and I talked about this in my newsletter this week. I called it early editions for a reason. There's an author that I'm acquainted with, and I don't mean to purport that I'm best friends with this individual, and I'll keep him nameless, but he told me one time that he always ran into issues with people because they felt they knew him well, that they should always get access to his work before it was published. And he said, so everyone always wanted access to the early editions. And people would get upset with him and whatnot when he wouldn't produce his early editions of his work before everybody else. And
they think they're special.
They thought they were special, yeah. And so he said, I just had to restrict. I had to draw the line, and I had to restrict who had access to my early editions for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, I was reflecting on that as we approach the new year, because we all kind of get in that mode of goal setting, and I'm going to achieve this, and I'm going to do that. But there's a phenomenon particularly in the social media culture, and that is we share everything with everybody right away.
Right.
And the whole point of my early editions newsletter was to think about being intentional about who we're sharing it with, and maybe we shouldn't share it with the masses. And the reason for that is research has actually shown that when people, or like if you or I, let's say you or I have a goal that we set of, I don't know, whatever goal, whether it's a financial goal or I'm going to buy a new house this year. I'm not buying a new house this year, but if that's a goal, and you and I were to share that on our Facebook profile, actually that's dating me, so Instagram, we shared on Instagram.
I still understand Instagram.
Well, neither do I.
I mean, that makes
Does anybody understand social media? But anyway, sharing that with everybody on social media, the researchers found that it actually provides the same dopamine hit as if you would have shared that information after having already achieved the goal. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So let's say the goal was I'm going to buy my first house this year.
Right.
All right. And I shared that with absolutely everybody on social media. Me having shared that goal on social media with everybody, or just telling everybody in general that you're going to achieve it, provides the same dopamine hit as if I had already purchased the new house. Why is that a problem? Well, the research also shows that sharing that goal with everybody to that degree, because it provides that same dopamine hit, you've already achieved the satisfaction of that goal, and therefore your chances of actually obtaining that goal goes down. And so the whole point of this newsletter was to help get people to kind of think about, and get us to think about, it's really important to have goals. It's important to share those goals with certain people, but maybe don't share it with everybody. Maybe don't plaster it all over social media. Just be more intentional about who you share it with. Because actually the research shows the more people you share it with, the chances of actually achieving it go down.
So it might, but it's also, but I also feel like it's good to share it with at least some key people to help you be accountable. I'm
not talking
good,
about,
or is that,
they're certainly good for accountability,
right,
to have an accountability partner with goals and to share it with certain people. But why would you share it with somebody? Just to kind of put it back on you. You kind of alluded to it, but why would you share it with somebody?
So
what would be the point?
I think for me, a lot of times if I share a goal that I want to do with somebody, I want someone to kind of hold me accountable, just so I can't, so someone can check in on me to say,
right,
hey, are you working towards your goal, or
yep,
are you slacking? Because I'm naturally a lazy person. I think human beings are naturally want to, we seek out the path of least resistance,
right,
just like water does.
Yep.
And I don't like that about myself, and so I tell people what my goals are.
Right.
So I ask them to hold me accountable for it.
And that's exactly right.
That's my primary reason for doing that. But I can also see.
So the perspective is different with that,
masses.
Though. The perspective is different. So when you share something with an accountability partner, let's just say you have a goal for yourself and you share it with your spouse or with one of your best friends. Your intention for doing that is to have that person help hold you accountable, right? But why? So the difference between that and it needs to be contrasted with, why do we share things on social media? And why do we share things on social media, do you suppose? I'll answer for you. Because we want others to notice it. And we want others to give us a pat on the back. We want others to give us a virtual high five. We want it to be liked. We want it to go viral. And so the reason for sharing on social media is oftentimes different than our reasons for sharing it with a close friend.
It's kind of a selfish reason almost.
Well, it's just to get it's to get recognition.
Yeah,
is really what it's about.
So it's more self-serving, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right, it's not a bad thing. But it's just a different reasoning for it. So, again, I'm not saying we shouldn't share anything with others, but it's just I'm encouraging people to be more intentional about who you share it with and what's really your reasoning for it.
I will say, when I share stuff on Facebook or social media or stuff, it's, but I know transparently with our business, with nonStatic and that kind of stuff, I get bummed out if I share something and I don't get the number of likes or views that I think it deserves, because especially if I think it's a really good post, I'm like, everyone should love this, everyone should share this. And sometimes I even get kind of annoyed, honestly, when people don't share it enough. I'm like, what the heck? This was good stuff. This is from John. Yeah. And so I can definitely get caught up in the wanting to get noticed.
Right.
And someone else has a better post than me or whatever. And honestly, my reasoning for posting most of the time, I hardly ever post anything personal. I want to get the word out about nonStatic and our business and stuff, because I truly believe that we have something that can help people. Yeah.
Really, what the focus should be with our goals is to shift our motivation internally rather than externally. In the mental health world, we call that intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from inside because we believe what we're doing is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We go to the gym. The people that are most successful with working out or achieving any goals is because internally they believe it's the right thing to do, and it's healthy for them. Right. And because they care about themselves. That's the kind of motivation. Whereas extrinsic motivation is motivation when we're extrinsically motivated, it's because we want to get affirmations from our outside environment, meaning other individuals, for example, to to appreciate what we've done rather than us doing it because internally we know it's the right thing to do.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when does that become a bad thing when you're looking for outside affirmation from other people?
It's not bad to seek outside affirmation, but if our only motivation is to get recognition from others, we're going to burn out. So the easiest one to pick on is exercise, and I pick on exercise a lot, or working out. If you're going to the gym to work out because you want to look good for other people, or you want other people to notice your progress, you are going to burn out because a month from now, when you haven't seen a whole lot of progress, you're going to get deflated.
Right. Like, what's the point?
And exercise and any goal, it takes a long time to achieve typically. And so if you contrast that with someone that's intrinsically motivated that goes and works out because they believe that, because they care about themselves as a person and they care about their own body and they want to be healthy for themselves, those are the individuals that will be able to care, that won't burn out as much because it comes from more of an internal type of motivation, and because they believe that they're worth it and that they care about themselves enough to follow through with it.
Right.
So that's just kind of the shift. And we can't control how others perceive us and how others react to the goals that we achieve. Some people will always be in our corner cheering us on, but then there's others that won't be. Right. And when we place our measure of success based on what other individuals say or do, we're going to be disappointed. And that's kind of where we run out of steam with our goals, is expecting other people to prop us up, essentially, or to hold us up, rather than finding that internal motivation to do it ourselves. Right.
Like, why aren't there so many people like cheering me on when I do hit my milestone?
Right.
I mean, like, it should be a personal. You should have that personal gratification and be okay with that.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of always looking for outside approval.
Your motivation for a goal should typically be because I want to make myself better, not because I want to impress others.
Yeah.
And that when we're
you're never really gonna impress people. I mean, you may for a time you may do that, but people don't know you. People know you, but they don't really. I don't know if those are the right words. Maybe people don't really care about you as much as you care about yourself.
Well, people are imperfect. They're not people. All of us are not perfect, believe it or not. And we're all going to fall short of other people's expectations of us. So if someone else is expecting me to be their cheerleader in the corner, I can sure try my hardest, but there's going to be times when I fail to follow through on that, Right. And so that's where the problem comes in when we are looking for outside affirmations of our goals. Is people are going to make a mistake. They're not going to follow through to the degree that we think they are. They may not realize that we need the affirmation that we need in the moment, and so we get disappointed then. So that's really that's kind of the problem. And so if the motivation comes internally, I'm not saying we should not appreciate the affirmations of others and shouldn't want that. It's just keep putting it in the right context and knowing that not everyone's going to be as focused on our goals as we are.
Right.
And so keep it close to the chest maybe. Yeah,
I think also, maybe this isn't really supposed to be primarily social media stuff, but I do notice that when people are braggadocious about their goals and to the moon for whatever, and it also opens them up for a lot of criticism too, I think.
Well, people online
like,
are brutal.
People are just straight up evil online. just their little demons come out. It's like,
when you have that screen between you and the other person, it's amazing what people will say.
Those keyboard, what do you want to call them? Those
keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors, they're just absolutely brutal, and they're all like, oh yes, Fatso didn't hit her goal, his or her goals again, and we can't believe anything she says or whatever. Well, they're probably lacking in that or whatever else that they're criticizing people on too. But people online are just brutal.
They can be
brutal, and so you don't want that.
Yeah.
If you got a goal that you really want to work towards, like you said, maybe tell one or two people, keep it under wraps until you have achieved your goal. Then I think by all means shout it out, because you should be proud of yourself if you hit a goal.
Yep.
But I like that, like not sharing.
It's more about, let's not, I encourage people to not celebrate their goals before they've achieved them.
Yeah. And so telling everybody about your goals is kind of a celebrating before you achieve it.
If you're celebrating before you've achieved it, you've already given yourself the satisfaction of having achieved that goal, and therefore you're less likely to actually attain it. So that's what the research backs that up is. As soon as people share it to the masses, the chances of actually obtaining what they're seeking to do goes down dramatically.
I just can't get over that, but it makes sense because I have done that kind of thing too. And did I achieve those goals? No, but I mean, I would think that you'd have like enough shame, or embarrassment if you don't meet that goal.
Well, it's not about embarrassment or shame. It's really about.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Like if you tell the whole point is to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So you can stay motivated, but you said like the chance of you hitting those goals are a lot less likely when you have told so many people. Like you would think that fear of not living up to your promise would be greater than.
It's kind of. It's kind of like, let's just use an example of money, for example. If you set out a goal to earn $1 million, just to pull something out of thin air, if your goal was to go out and earn $1 million in the next 6 months, and you already earned $1 million, and somebody gave you $1 million, your motivation to go earn the $1 million that you said you were going to earn goes down dramatically because you have the $1 million in your hand right now. It's the same thing with.
I earned it.
It's the same thing with celebrating our successes before they happen.
Right.
When we let everybody know on social media, and I know we're picking on social media, but if you post it on social media what your goals are, and everybody says, "Hey," celebrates with you and says, "Great job pursuing this goal," blah blah blah. You've already gotten that currency of celebration, and so therefore, because you've already gotten it, your motivation, because it's based on what other people are going to say to you, goes down because you've already obtained it. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
You've already obtained the reward, so to speak, before it's happened. So
lesson is, it's good to have goals. Set them. Don't set them on January 1st. If you really want to, you certainly can.
Well,
just don't do it. Don't set the goal on January 1st because it's January 1st.
Right.
Do it because that is the right time for you to start.
Right.
But don't let that procrastinate. Don't let that lead you to procrastination, because in that way you're already failing at your goal. I feel.
Right. You're putting it off.
You're putting it off. It's already failing.
Yep.
And don't tell everybody about it. Keep it under wraps. Keep it close to your chest. Maybe tell a couple of people, a couple of really close friends about it. And just wait until you have some success, and then you can start talking about it.
The other way to put it is work to have your motivation be coming from your internal self rather than outside of you.
Yeah.
Is really what the goal is. It was really what your focus should be.
That sounds good. I like that. Do you have anything else, Josh?
Not everyone should have access to your early editions, John.
I'm not giving anyone my early editions. They'll definitely get the first editions.
The only thing I would just say is, when we set goals for ourselves, goals are really promises that we make to ourselves. Okay, and the extent to which you keep promises impacts your sense of integrity. So just keep that in mind when you're setting goals. You're making yourself a promise, and I bring that up because it's important to wrestle with that as people. Like, what goals are we setting for ourselves and what do we want to achieve? It's important to wrestle with that because am I going to be able to really follow through with that? Otherwise, you're going to be stacking failure on top of failure rather than success on top of a success. So it's important to set lofty goals, but it's also important to set goals that are realistic that you can obtain. And it's important to be willing to follow through on the promises you've made to yourself.
And it's also I've learned it's also very important to reward yourself.
100%.
When you achieve your goals, because if you do not reward yourself for even I've learned that it's good to have little rewards along the way, or like you got to set yourself some mile markers.
Yeah, for sure.
And whether it be like, well, I'm going to save $1,000 or whatnot. If I when I get to $500, I'm going to treat myself to a nice sit down meal
Sure.
or something or get that thing that you could afford to get now, but you're going to intentionally put it off as a reward for hitting that $500 mark and then $1,000 mark.
It's good to have a carrot.
Gotta have that carrot.
Gotta have the carrot.
Gotta have a carrot. Not a donut, but a carrot. Donuts are fine every once in a while too. Cronuts. Oh my gosh, dude. But anyways, that about wraps it up. Is there anything that you're listening to? Or
there was a great podcast I heard and from Greg Rochelle.
It's called nonStatic.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Craig Rochelle, he's the pastor of Life Church. Life.church. Life.church. Thank you. I always say that wrong.
He's trendy.
Yeah, he's real trendy guy.
Life.church.
He had a podcast. He also dabbles into a bit of leadership and stuff like that. Yeah. And he had a great podcast called The 8 Habits of Great Decision Makers. And I like things in list form, and so he does that really well in that podcast. Yeah. And I'll leave it up to you and the listener to go find out what those 8
Craig Rochelle, he is a phenomenal guy to listen to.
He's a great speaker.
Very good speaker, very passionate, and we've seen him at a couple of conferences, and that dude, he's vulnerable. Like he's
definitely his genuine self.
Right, he's his genuine self. He definitely tells you his highs, his lows, and you look at this guy and you listen to this guy, you think this guy's got it all put together.
Yep.
And he doesn't.
No, he does.
He's very blessed. He's very gifted, but he fully admits, like, I struggle with the same stuff that you and I struggle with. So, and that's hearing that kind of stuff is comforting too for
sure.
for the little people like us.
Little guys,
little guys. The big guys, the big very successful people also struggle with the same stuff that you and I do.
Yep.
So, but anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of nonStatic Podcast. If you'd like to stay connected and dive deeper into finding peace, focus, and fulfillment, be sure to sign up for Josh's nonStatic newsletter at nonstatic.org. You can also obviously follow us on YouTube and Spotify and all the podcast places. So if you like this, please feel free to subscribe to it and share it and all that stuff. We really want to get this out to other people because we really feel like this podcast is different from a lot of stuff that we've listened to.
Yeah,
and it's got a nice different flavor to it. And it's short and sweet. So, and don't forget, remember, if you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, we're here to help. Local clinics, mental health clinics are also available to help. I know that there's a lot of waiting lists for places, but if you do need help, please reach out to us. And if we can't help you, we can certainly help refer you to someone who can.
Yep.
And anyway, aside from that, take care. Keep moving forward.
Enjoy the journey.
Take care, guys.